The Grenfell Tower block was a national tragedy. 60 people lost their lives, countless families were destroyed by it, and even to this day we're still having people who still don't actually have a home. It's been a failure of the government and local council time after time after time. And when it was discovered that it was because of the cladding and was actually something that was completely avoidable, it made it so much worse. An inquiry began, led by Dame Judith Hackett, and it was the general hope that the failures of the local council and government bodies that had put the cladding on there would be called out and the cladding would be banned. Now, across the country, councils took down cladding in various areas, but not all of it. And when I say not all of it, I mean there are still tower blocks that have that cladding up. Today Dame Judith Hackett is going to release her final statement on the matter, and where we'd hoped that she would have outright banned this cladding, instead she's just putting in preventative measures or potential preventative measures in other areas. The main reason why it was such a catastrophic tragedy is because of the cladding. Yes, there were other factors, but we wouldn't have lost so many lives had this cladding not been forced on the building. And yet, in her infinite wisdom, she has decided to not ban the cladding for future uses. This is an insult, not just to the survivors of Grenfell, but for the people in general. It makes a mockery to see that something so abhorrent can happen and no real action will be taken. A little bit in the spotlight, a little bit for good measure, but that's about it. It's an insult, and it's made all the worse with things like the royal wedding. Now, I get that some people love the royal family. Personally, I am not a royalist in any sense of anyone's imagination. I'm very aware that they are a family whose ancestors just killed a few more people and stole a few more things. Largely, I'm indifferent to them. That is, of course, until taxpayer money goes to pay for every little thing. The Queen has about £8 billion, not including the allowance that she's given from the taxpayer. The last royal wedding, the security alone cost between 20 and 30 million pounds. That was just the security. And in this wedding with Harry and Meghan, Meghan's dress cost £300,000. It would have cost £220,000 to avoid the tragedy of Grenfell. I can harp on about this for hours, but it comes down to a failure of government, a failure of local council. The money is there, and for some reason it's not being used correctly. It's not being spent on the people. This is not just a massive issue, but it's like pouring salt into the wound. Quite frankly, we deserve better.